Valerie McDaniels has a deep fear of needles, and that fear stopped her from making an appointment to find out what was going on in her breast. In fact, she waited quite a long time as she watched this thing in her breast grow, knowing that if she went to a doctor, it would involve needles. Finally, she could not ignore it anymore, and somehow or another found herself at the Rose. Valerie tells her story of how the Rose employees really understood, took care of her, took all those extra steps to get her through her biopsy. And when she tells her story, you start to understand how something like this kind of fear could really cost you your life. When you subscribe to our show, you help us grow. Someone you know may need to hear this story, so please share with your family and friends. And consider supporting our mission. Your donation can help save the life of an uninsured woman. Let's talk about your breast. A different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics, and you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life. So, Valerie, thank you so much for being with us today. Yours is a very special story, and I want our listeners to know that you actually reached out to us and said, I'd like to share my story. Now, that's unusual, and you were still in treatment at the time.
Yes,
so, how did you find your breast cancer?
Okay, well, in 2022, my husband and I were just, in the rest room and in the bedroom or whatever, and come across a little lump. And I'm like, I just played it off, He was like, you need to get that checked out. I'm like, okay, it was a small lump at the time. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, you just need to get that checked out. I said, okay, I will. And I ignored it. Not good.
Not good.
However, by the time I ignored it, by 2023, it was like 2 lumps. And you can feel 2. And so I said, okay. My husband's like, I thought you I said, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of it. And he was like, okay, no, get to take care of now. So I contacted one of my friends that had just told everybody she was diagnosed with cancer. So I'm like, oh, God, let me just talk to her and see if she can come with me because I'm terrified. I need to go get a mammogram and I need to go get an ultrasound done. So she took me over to global imaging. Mm-hmm. I get over there and I didn't have a good experience. So she had to come in there with me and hold my hand and everything. It was not a pleasant experience. Well, of course they said biopsy. And I'm like, I think that has to do with a needle. So I ignored it. Didn't get anything done.
All right, now stop there, Valerie, because the part of the needle is one of the things that has been one of your phobias for many years.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Since I was a little girl.
You are afraid of needles.
I am.
You have a horrifying
phobia of needles.
And so you'll do anything not to have
needles. And I don't want to bust out and cry, but ever since I was a little girl, my mom would make sure we were the first ones at the doctor's. As soon as I would get there, I would take off. And I would run, and I would hide. I would find a cabinet. I would find a desk. I would find somewhere to go and hide. So we would always be the first ones there and the last ones to leave. Because what would happen was once they finally finished all their other patients, they would all stop, and they would say, okay, we got a young one here. Let's look for her. So everybody would go looking in cabinets and desks and everything until they found me. Once they would find me, they would hold me down just to get my immunization so I can get all my vaccines. And they would just give me everything they could give me at the time, right here, right there. whatever. And they would hold me down, at least 3 to 5 people,
Oh, my gosh.
because I would fight. And I did that for years. So all the way up until I was 18, got accepted to go to college and would not go, all because you have to get a shot.
Oh,
So
Valerie.
I kept my little acceptance letter and put it in my yearbook. And I said, I can't do this. You got to get a shot.
Now, this is a medical condition. I
Yes,
mean, it
ma'am.
has its own name. It has its own
Yes, ma'am.
conditions and treatments and all
Yes,
kind
ma'am.
of things.
And
Did you realize it was a real, not just you being afraid of needles, but it was a real illness?
I never really thought about it as an illness.
Ah.
You know, I just always said, I'm terrified of needles. And everybody said, well, something had to happen. I've just always been terrified of needles. I don't like pain, period. Now, I really have really bad anxiety. So anytime I know I have to go to a doctor, I can't sleep for the whole week until it's time to go to the doctor. Once I get there, someone has always got to be with me to make sure I go. They either hold me, let me hold them, or I will pass out.
My goodness.
And this has been always.
That had to be hard.
It's very hard.
All right. Now, you know you need a biopsy.
Now I hear that word, biopsy. So I'm Googling biopsy. All I see is needle. I'm going around, I'm asking family members. They all know that I'm terrified of needles, so they all trying to like just put it in. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And I'm like, y'all tell me, do it hurt? You know, I'm just asking around, asking coworkers. I'm asking people, putting it off, all because of a needle. And I put it off until I couldn't put it off any longer.
Now, what happened then? I mean, had it grown so much? Or?
Yes, ma'am. So the whole year of 2023, I'm hiding the fact that this 2 lumps that was started off at 1 turned to 2, and now it's the size of a fist.
Oh.
Okay? And it is almost the size as big as my heart.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm sitting up here hiding it away from my family, hiding it from my husband. I'm hiding it that I got this lump in my breast. And I'm sitting up there just being so naive. I'm kid you not, because I'm like, it's going to go down, you know? And I'm using different pads over here to make both breasts look even, stuff like that.
Oh, Valerie.
I'm doing the most.
Oh.
Hiding it. Trying to make sure I don't tell no one in my family, because the first thing they're going to do is take me to the doctor and get it done. And, of course, I'm hiding it.
And did your husband suspect?
So he did not, because I was, lying to him, different things, because I'm walking around in tank tops and stuff, oh, no, don't touch me right there, all this other stuff, as long as I could, until we got on a cruise in December 2023, and he's walking around the deck, and that same breast that had the lump and mass inside had grew like an ulcer or something on the outside. It came through.
Oh, yeah.
My crazy self was sitting here putting Neosporin on it and bandaging like it's just going to go away, not knowing that I'm walking around with cancer.
Yes.
Well, get on the cruise, and guess what? It burst.
Oh, my goodness.
It burst. And it's just shooting out blood like uncontrollable. I'm panicking. I'm losing blood. I'm gathering towels. I'm trying to do everything I could do. And I'm like, and of course I'm losing like my energy and all this other stuff, because I'm still not noticing what's going on.
Right.
And I'm cleaning up the mess, and I hurry up and find some bandage and close it up just to cover it. My husband comes in the room, and he's like, like, what's going on? I said, I need to go to the medical unit. He's like, why? I'm like, just don't ask me no questions right now. Just take me to the medical unit. And he's like looking at me like, why? You tell me why. Like, no, just take me now. because I'm about to fall out. So he gets me down to the medical unit, and I didn't even want him to know because I knew if he knew, he's going to be very upset.
Yes.
So I asked them to put him out the room while the medical unit look at what's going on. Immediately, they looked at me and they're like, ma'am, we don't know what to do. We're out to sea right now. All we could do is give you some gauze. But as soon as you get to port, you need to go to the emergency room. I'm like, okay. I got this whole 100 box of gauze. I'm good. What I do? Prolonged it. Got to port, got back to my, destination, and still prolonged it. Scared of needles. So a week later, it burst again. And now I can't do anything. So now I have to run and drive myself to the hospital. My husband's at work, and I drive myself to the nearest hospital. I've never driven myself to a hospital. Okay? So I get to the hospital, and I call my mother. I say, Mom, come and meet me at this hospital. Because everyone knows I don't drive myself to the hospital.
Right.
So she's like, well, I say, just come to the hospital. So she gets to the hospital, and as soon as she gets there, she sees me bleeding like crazy. I'm just bleeding like crazy, and I'm asking the people, could they please let me lay down because I'm about to faint. Mm-hmm. My mom was looking like, where's this blood coming from? Because, of course, I was hiding it.
Right.
No one knew. So, of course, they got me to the back. They get me to the back, and the first thing, the doctors come in there, a nurse, they call the nurses and everybody to come and hurry up to administer me. One person on this side, which is the doctor, nurses on this side, and everybody is trying to stick me with needles, and I am going crazy. I'm literally about to have a heart attack, all because they're trying to stick me.
Of course, they didn't know.
And they didn't know my fear.
Right.
And I'm literally having a panic attack. Mm-hmm. All right? Finally, my mom just said, just do it. Whatever y'all have to do, just do it. Because I'm not, then she know they don't know me. So they go ahead and do it. So he stuck me on this side to stop the bleeding. They stuck me on this side to put my IV in. All right? Needless to say, he goes and they run tests, and he comes back, and that's when he first said, ma'am, you have breast cancer. What? Breast cancer? He said, and you need to get to an oncologist ASAP because you have breast cancer. And my mom was over there like, so of course I got my mom upset with me. I got my husband upset with me. And then I got to tell my children and God, I'm like, I've been holding this. I could have it could have been something minor to where they could just went in, took out a little lump, been done. But no. So they immediately told me I need to go and see my doctor ASAP. We don't know what stage it is, but one good thing he told me that day, it has not traveled.
Oh.
That was all he could tell me.
Okay.
I said, okay. So that was that part.
So you've carried this now for well over a year, 2 years?
Well over, it's 2 years.
2 years that
So
you've
I'm walking
known
around
something's
knowing
going
something
on.
going on.
Right.
Started as a lump, then a 2, and then a mass as big as a baseball.
So how did you get to the Rose?
So I get to my primary care physician, and she's like, Valerie, she's upset with me. I told you need to go get a biopsy, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, where do I go? Where can I go now? She's like, because you realize you have breast cancer, right? That word again. I'm like, God. Okay. I said, so where can I go that's affordable? Because I know a lot of these places I call like Global Imaging or whoever, I call different people. She said, is that the problem? Is that why? I said, no. I mean, I'm scared too, so can you give me something? She said, well, I can give you some anxiety medicine, but you need to go to the Rose. So I said.
So your physician sent you to us.
She said, go to the Rose. I said, okay. Can you give me their number? She said, here, call them and find the location you want to go to and go to the Rose. But you need to get this done ASAP. All right, yes, ma'am. Meanwhile, so, of course, I get to the Rose. Not by myself, of course. And they had a lot of other patients ahead of me. So they were like, ma'am, we're really full, but we're going to try to squeeze you in. And I'm like, at this time, this is bleeding out of control. Everybody is telling me I need to get to the Rose and get a biopsy, but they have to do their mammogram and ultrasound as well. So I'm like, okay, God, let's hurry up and get this done. So I take my anxiety meds. I have my little mask over my eyes. My mother, my husband, my daughter, they making sure I get in there. And my mom was like, she's bleeding really bad. They said, ma'am, we got this. We got this under control. We know exactly what to do. We're going to take good care of her. My mom said, you sure? They said, yeah. They took good care of me. They walked me to the back. And with my little mask on my eyes and everything. And they said, okay, we're going to do your mammogram and we're going to do your ultrasound. I'm like, okay. Mind you now, I'm barely up, because I'm like, I took this medicine. So they bring the machine over to me. They have it come close to me as possible. And they did it very, soft, that it wasn't putting too much pressure and all that, but they had to do what they had to do while cleaning. And on top of that, it had a scent.
Oh, yeah.
They was like, I'm like, how y'all not passing out in here? You know what I'm saying? But they were like, man, we understand, we know how to do this. So I'm like, okay. They did a very good job. Now it's time for me to go to the ultrasound, and that's where I met Zamira. And Zamira and the ultrasound tech, Ho, is her name? H-A-O. So I met them. And they're like, we're going to take good care of you, Miss Valerie. We're going to take good care of you. But you got to promise us you come right back next week. We're going to put you in next week so you can get your biopsy. I'm like, oh, God, that word again, needle. I'm like, Zamira, can you please tell the doctor that I am terrified of needles? She said, I will let him know. And he is a very good doctor, Miss Valerie. This is all we do, okay? He is super good. I said, okay. She said, just ask for me when you come back. I said, thank you. I got back. Of course, I had my blind shade on, my anxiety medicine. She said, ask for her, and that's exactly what they did. We asked for Zamira. She came. She helped me to the dressing room. They made sure I got changed. She walked me to the back. I cannot even tell you what Dr. Trevino looked like. I don't know. I just know they laid me on. They told me to just relax. They kept me very calm. And they was cleaning the area, She said, I'm with you, Miss Valerie. I'm with you, okay? I'm with you. She said, I got you, okay? Next thing I know, I heard some Caribbean music. And I'm like, and I'm a travel agent too, so I love to travel. So I'm just listening to the Caribbean music, taking my little deep breaths. She's like, I'm with you, Miss Valerie, I'm with you. And he told her to put this cream on or whatever it was. And I'm like, Zamira? She said, Miss Valerie, I'm with you. I'm not going to leave you. I told you I'm right here. And they just kept holding me. Whatever tool, I don't know what tool Dr. Trevino used to do my biopsy, but he said, you're going to hear a sound. I said, okay. And I heard, psh, psh, psh. He said, that's it. I'm sitting here like, oh my God, it didn't hurt. I let my fear of needles hold all this time, and it didn't even hurt. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell everybody I got a biopsy done. It didn't hurt. So he left out the room, and Zamira said, no, you did great. You did great. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So they cleaned out everything. They changed the bandage and all that. She said, now the doctor have to get your biopsy, and they got to read everything so they can give you a proper diagnosis. I said, okay. So that's how that happened. But God put the right people in the right place at the right time. I kid you not. I didn't know anything about the Rose. Mm-hmm. Zamira was there. She really helped me. I kid you not. I don't even think I would be here if it wasn't for her. She just kept telling me she's going to be with me. And, of course, my faith in God, he just put the right people, the right place at the right time. I kid you not. Because if I had waited another week, it would have been too late.
Yeah, you were getting on with that. That's for sure.
I'm telling you. And
so you're going back to your oncologist at that point.
All righty. So now I have to go to the oncologist. Mm-hmm. So he hadn't even received all my test results because I had to get MRIs, I had to get CAT scans, mm-hmm. I had to get all kind of stuff done. And as soon as I walked in his office, he just looked at me and he was like, we're going to just say, if I have to give you a diagnosis, I'm just going to say A, B, or C. We're going to say 3C. Okay? And that's going to be stage 3, HER2 positive breast cancer. I'm like, okay. He said, but I don't have your results back and everything, but we're going to just say 3C. I'm like, okay. He said, and I got to hurry up and give you something now. So he said, but you need to go get your port. So, of course, needle.
Right. Did it get any easier?
It's getting a little better because, I'm getting used to it now.
Right.
But all I do is I have my blind shade, I have my stress ball, and I have my anxiety medicine. And, of course, I have my support. Without support, you're not going to make it. I kid you not. Mm-mm. That's another thing. So I have some strong supporters, which is, of course, my wonderful husband, my children, my parents. Of course, I have a grandfather that's constantly praying for me, and my pastor, and, I have my aunts and stuff. I have a great support system and a few friends that I told. That was mm-hmm. it. Little family members. But other than that, you won't make it without support.
That's right. Yeah.
I kid you not. So anyway, had to get the port. So, of course, they all went with me. Everybody's going mm-hmm. with me, making sure I get that done. Again, my anxiety, but once they did it, it didn't hurt. That's another thing I want to let people know. If you have to go through these treatments or whatever, I suggest you get the port. Mm-hmm. Because it's just one stick and it's done. They don't have to fiddle around and looking for veins and none of this.
Right.
I'm telling you, just get the port. You won't feel it. I am a living witness. Everyone would tell you, if I can do this, anyone can. I'm serious. So, but the part is not knowing how it's going to feel,
right.
Right. So, of course, I got the port, and I have to start my treatments. So I get back to the doctor's office, my oncologist's office, and I'm in there cutting up real bad. It wasn't good because I had just got the port. It's still a little sore, and they got to go through the port. I'm giving them a run for their money. So needless to say, anybody that's in the medical field that had to come in contact with me, they know my name.
But they also, I'm sure, understood that you were in tremendous fear and anxiety. And
yes, ma'am.
They
know me. They know me.
Yeah.
They probably going around telling people in their family about this woman.
They're saying, Valerie's going to be here today.
Valerie,
who's up?
Everyone. Trust me. When I walk in the room, they're, oh, my goodness, here she come. But they don't say it to me, but I know. They all know me. Right. So I put a few pictures in my, file just so y'all could see. I try to give them that, thank you.
Right.
For being patient with me, because that's another thing. You have to have patience with people like me, because if not,
Well, you put it off for almost 2 years there. I mean, listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Goodness. But
Yes, ma'am. So I got it done.
got it done.
With God. I'm serious. With God. And like I said, family members sitting there with me, coming through their lunch breaks, taking off work. I got all my chemo treatments done. I finished chemo, and I rung that bell. I was so happy.
Oh, good for you.
Yes, ma'am. And then it was time for me to have surgery. Never had surgery before in my entire life. Now, here we go with needles. So I meet those doctors and they staff. I tell them up front, guys, whatever y'all have to do, please, just get it all done. I'm telling you, because I can't deal with these needles. Right. So, anyway, the surgery went well. So, needless to say, I had to have a double, mastectomy. When I just woke up, it was done. And I have to say, I'm glad I did that. Even though it was not in my left breast, they did see like a small something. They was like, well, I said, look, I don't want to have to go through this again. Just do what you got to do.
Right.
So.
Good decision.
Yes, ma'am. And that was it. So I didn't get the other part, like reconstruction or nothing done yet. But all I did was get the double mastectomy. And now I'm currently going through immunotherapy and radiation.
So a little bit more to your treatment.
A little bit more to my treatment.
3 months, 4 months?
Shoes. So right now I'm in radiation, and I will be done with that by November about the 13th. I'll be done with that. Immunotherapy is 14 treatments of that, and I do that once every 3 weeks. So, and every time I go, I'm counting down. Because, of course, it's through my port, needle. I take a deep breath. I try to relax. Because, my mom like, Val, they can't do anything if you let your blood pressure get too high or...
Right.
They're trying to help you. So what I have to do is I just keep telling myself, they're trying to help me. If I get in there fighting and all that, they're not going to want to help me. So I relax. I take deep breath. I take my little anxiety medicine if I have to. I put my blind shade on. I have my little stress ball, and I let them do what they have to do every time. That's the only thing that helps me, And
I love it, though. I mean, you've got a system to handle this very bad phobia.
So if anybody had that problem, get you a stress ball. Get you a little blind shade. 'Cause I can't even look. I walk in a room, it smells like needles.
And you go, yes.
And I'm like, I take off running.
Oh.
So, my mom like, Valerie, needles don't have a smell. I'm like, it just smells like needles.
I believe you.
So I'm telling you.
I believe you.
Yes, ma'am.
So we know what was the most challenging part of your treatment.
Chemo.
But still, I mean, I really think this is so brave of you. We've never had anyone on here who's talked about this.
Man.
And it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And if it kept you from going and having it taken care of, I mean, that's a big message, Valerie.
Yes, ma'am.
Because in the end, the things you feared the most.
I'm gonna let needles kill me.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about the cancers, but you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here worried about a needle and more concerned about a needle than the cancer killing me.
I know, but when it's your own issue,
yes,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. And some people that don't have this fear or phobia or whatever, they don't understand. So they're like, oh, girl, just go in there and you can do it. You can do it. Oh, it's just that's another thing. When I had to go for treatments, they had to surprise me with this Neulasta. And it goes on your arm. Needle.
I know it's not funny.
I'm telling you.
Listening to you describe it, my gosh.
Needle.
Yeah.
So that was not good.
No.
Because they had to put this on my arm. And I'm sitting there, okay, who can tell me what this feel like? They all in there telling me what it sound like, but they're not telling me what it feel like. And I'm like, no. So that's why I'm here. I can actually tell someone now what it feels like. Because everybody in there, oh, it's just a pop. I'm like, I know what it sounds like. I want to know what it feels like. Don't, you know. So to people that have not experienced this, they can't tell you. I'm a living witness now. I could tell you, okay, it's going to tick for 5 seconds, and then it's going to pop. Now, that pop like this. However, at the time, I didn't know that. So I'm giving them a problem. So, needless to say, they threw it on there.
So your message to women is?
Okay. If you are like me and terrified of needles, one, don't hide it. That's another thing. Tell somebody.
Right.
I'm serious. Tell somebody and let them go with you to make sure you okay.
Right.
I'm serious. Don't hide it, because I hid it from the same people that had to turn around.
And that loved you very much.
Loved me
and
very
that were
much.
trying to get your help, yes.
And had to turn around and be the ones to clean my wound, drainage bags, like you name it.
But that's why they're here for us. They love you. And
I put them through, I feel so bad. I put them through some unnecessary stress because they would all try to be strong in front of me. But behind the scene, they were all calling each other, crying. I didn't know, my husband, I put him through some stress. But at the end of the day, he's stuck there with me. He's still here with me, even though I'm going through what I'm going through. I put my whole family through a lot of stress, and I want to tell people, do not do this to yourself, and don't do this to your family.
Well, that's such good advice, Valerie.
Don't do it. Trust me. I realize how many people love me, because what happened was I finally had got the courage to give a testimony at my church. No one knew. And my majority of my family, nobody knew, because I didn't want to tell everybody until I was ready. So on August, I believe I was August the 18th, that Sunday, whatever that Sunday was, I was so happy because I had my surgery on August 5th. And August the 13th, my pathology report had came back, and it showed no cancer.
Oh, that's terrific.
And I was like, I got to tell somebody, this is a miracle.
Right.
Just by me getting to the Rose is a miracle. I'm telling you, all by itself, because I don't even have my ears pierced. I'm serious. These are clip-ons. I don't let anybody get close to me with a needle.
Right.
So this is a miracle, and I'm a walking testimony. So I didn't want to keep it a secret no longer. So when I got ready, I stood up there and they did a live stream at the church, and I was able to let everybody know, and anybody that's terrified of needles like myself, I showed them. I carry around, is in my bag now, my stress ball, my mask, and my anxiety medicine, just in case I have to have anything done. I got it.
You got it.
I got it.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. You let your fear get in the way.
Right.
But, even though I know everybody, I've been in church all my life, and I love God, and I know God is watching over me and all that, you still have that little fear.
Right.
Like I try to explain to my husband, it's just like you have a fear of swimming, or somebody have a fear of spiders, or whatever. My fear is needles.
Right.
I got family members that have never flown anywhere. They scared to fly. My fear is needles. And I'm doing better now, because I wouldn't be able to walk in the room by myself with needles.
With needles.
But I'm doing a little better.
Well, I tell you, this is a remarkable story. And I know there's someone out there that's going to hear this and go, oh my gosh, I need to go get it done.
They need to go get it done.
Right.
And it don't hurt. That's another thing. I'm a living witness. I'm trying to tell you. Get to the Rose, and I'm telling everybody this. Get to the Rose. I know get somewhere where I experienced wonderful experience. The staff from the beginning, even the person that put me in on schedule, because I kept calling and saying, I'm bleeding everywhere, I have to come in. Well, they made a way for me, you know. Mm-hmm. I don't know who I bumped in line, but I did, and I got in there. The staff helped me from the front to the back. And I thank y'all so very much for that. So if anybody is like me that need to get a mammogram, an ultrasound, and a biopsy done, the Rose is the place. And I specifically went to the Galleria location.
Right.
So,
well, we appreciate that endorsement, but believe me, dear, you're the one with the bravery. I mean, this took so much courage, and I sincerely appreciate you sharing this.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a success story, and you're going to beat this, and it's done.
When I tell you, I'm counting down.
Yes, you should be.
Every time they doctor tell me that, hey, you got 20 more days to go. I'm counting down. And Friday they close. I'm like, oh, you messing up my days. So, but I'm telling y'all, I got to help somebody else.
Oh, I know you have.
I got to help somebody else. So if this word can get out to whoever that has a fear of needles, please get to the Rose. It doesn't hurt. Whatever Dr. Trevino used, use it on them. Because it didn't hurt.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that story today with us.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't know if you have any other questions for me.
No, dear. I think you've shared what our audience needs to hear for sure. Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speak Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.